Happy 4th of July, motherfuckers. This is Burton back in the crypt. Welcome to another episode of Lost in the Dark podcast. And I'm solo in the crypt tonight. I just wanted to put an episode out for the 4th of July just to make a strong comeback after a few weeks of a couple weeks of being off and then 1 week with only one episode. Just wanted to hit this week hard. I wanted to start off, first of all, this episode with some shout-outs. First of all, shout-out to my two sisters who were on a few episodes back. We recorded a podcast on my iPhone in an airport during a layover or during a delay. And the reason why I want to give them a shout-out is because they are both traveling abroad again already. They are, my sister Grace actually flew out last night. She is in Berlin, Germany. And my sister Katie flew out a few days ago to Senegal in Africa on the west side of Africa, northwest. And I believe this is her second or third trip or Africa or something like that. So shout out to both of them. Let us all wish them safe travels and safe returns, and let them, hopefully we'll have them both on upon their glorious arrivals when they get back to the United States in a few weeks, and tell us all about their trip and the experiences they had over there, because that's got to be extra fucking wild. Two places I've never been. I do wish to go to Germany one day. I have to go to Wacken. Like, that's the heavy metal mecca. I gotta see Wacken at least once in my life. Like, that is a must. So hopefully that happens one day, and I'm excited to hear all about Germany. I even took German in high school and had a German foreign exchange student come and stay with us, and everything. It was crazy. But yeah, shout out to both of them, and wish them very safe travels and very safe returns and very good trips. Absolutely. So shout out to both of them. And for the rest of us here back in America holding it down, happy 4th of fucking July to everyone. This is a very glorious holiday here. We fucking celebrate with fucking grilled meats and fucking explosives and fucking alcohol. And in places that are legal, fucking weed. So just kind of honestly, just kind of want to talk about some things that I have watched recently. Kind of a nerd out podcast, honestly. I'm not gonna front. First of all, I want to start with a news story that broke recently on July 1st, I think, or somewhere thereabouts. And shout out to digitalmusicnews.com for providing the story that I'm about to read. It's another Ticketmaster story. Ticketmaster is back in the news. As if you've been following this podcast from the beginning, then you know Ticketmaster and their exorbitant fucking service charges and things to that nature are something we've been trying to figure out. At first, it was something we blamed entirely on Ticketmaster. I'm no longer 100% sure it's their solo work. Based on other podcasts I listen to of comedians podcasts who tour and work with Ticketmaster, I have some reason to believe that some of those fees and things of that nature are as a result of the venue. But I it's hard to say. It's really, I don't know. It's really hard to say. But hold on, let's start here with this article, because I'll actually circle back to that in a second. But here, let's start with this article. The Canadian government, through its Competition Bureau, has issued Ticketmaster with a CND $4.5 million fine. That's $3.44 million in U.S. dollars. The fine was issued after an investigation revealed that the company had inflated the advertised prices of tickets purchased either online or through one of its mobile apps from 20% up to 65%. The ruling came after the government had sued Live Nation, the parent company of Ticketmaster, in January of last year. The fine included a CDN $4 million penalty in addition to a CDN $500,000 fine for the cost of the investigation. In addition to the fine, a number of Ticketmaster subsidiaries will have to submit a 10-year agreement that will ensure they will comply with all relevant laws into the future. Hold on one second. Oh shit. Hold on. The page is jumping. Hold on one second. The Competition Bureau's investigation determined that the customers. Oh no. Hold on. The page jumped again. Sorry. This computer is a little slow. We're working with limited materials. The customers could not buy tickets at the advertised prices because of fees that were required at the end of the purchasing process. The Bureau also stated that the Ticketmaster subsidiaries had 30 days to comply with the Marketing Practicing Provision Canada Act. The fees included the service fees, faculty charges, and order processing. Now, here's the thing. I don't understand fully what is different. Maybe they have different laws in Canada. Maybe there's just different rules all around. I don't fully understand what is different from their situation to the situation we're experiencing here in the United States. Because when we order from Ticketmaster, which is pretty much the only option, unless it's a smaller venue that sells tickets, sometimes there's e-tix, Ticket Web, sometimes some of the smaller venues use those ticket services. And usually in every single time they have much at most they'll have a $5 service fee. Ticketmaster, I fuck with you not, I'm sure you know, is up to close to $20. So if you get a $40 ticket, it's actually a $60 ticket, but it's advertised as a $40 ticket. So I don't understand why, if this lawsuit's happening in Canada, why it's not happening in the United States. Maybe we have different rules. I don't know. But another thing I wanted to get into so that's just an update. We've reported. We've talked about this story before. We've been actually following it since the lawsuit first. It said the lawsuit started a year ago. We've kind of been following it since then, since the start of this podcast. It's crazy because it's doing nothing but hurting everyone involved. Everyone. It's hurting the performer, whoever that may be. It's hurting the fans. It's hurting the venues. You know what I mean? When you go to buy a $20 ticket, and the total comes out to be $41. What? Like what? What? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's a $20 ticket. You know what I'm saying? Mind-boggling to me. But something else I wanted to get into that. I finally watched an episode of Joe Rogan today. It was Andrew Schultz and Charmaine the God. I'd never heard of these two before this episode of Joe Rogan. All right? Full disclosure. But I fucking loved both of them. And Andrew Schultz was bringing something up because what he said is that he's just now starting to start touring and sell his tickets through Ticketmaster and stuff like that. And a friend of his said to him, and you can watch this episode on Joe Rogan. It's an incredible episode. Seriously, a great episode, top to bottom. You really should check it out. I actually subscribed to their podcast afterwards. It's called the Brilliant Idiots or something like that. Hold on. I'll give it a shout out. Hold on one second. I just subscribed to it. It should be right here. Hold on one second. The Rogan episode was great. It's the Brilliant Idiots podcast. Check that out and check out the episode of Joe Rogan with Andrew Schultz and Charlamagne the God. I believe that is. I hope I'm getting that right. But anyway, so he said one of his friends was asked him what cut are you getting from Ticketmaster? And he's like, nothing. And he's like, that on your $40 ticket, they're charging another $16. So it's actually almost a $60 ticket. And if you want the physical ticket, it's $61 because there's a $5 delivery and printing fee. If you want the physical ticket, not the digital ticket or the print at home ticket. If you're an OG motherfucker and you want the original motherfucking ticket like I do. I have every ticket to every show I've ever been to. Those of you that follow us on Instagram see my Throwback Thursdays to the concerts that we've all been to. And you see the fucking the actual ticket stub that I have. But yeah, they and he's like, none, you know? And he's like, well, did they give you any of the data? And that really struck a chord with me. They started talking about the data involved. Data. All of our data. Every word I've ever spoken, anyone's ever spoken on this podcast, any video anyone's ever made on YouTube, any phone call, any text message, any Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram post, anything on any social media or anything online you've ever done, purchased, anything, searched, it's all data. And in fairness to everyone really, we had no way of knowing at any point in time what the value of that data would become. Our data is an extraordinarily valuable commodity to big business, to all of these companies that we purchase from, we post on, we interact with, you know, we download. All that fucking shit is data. And it's extremely valuable to all the companies we interact in those ways with. We had no way of knowing that in the beginning, or at any point to where we could have set up some sort of situation to, you know, better prevent things like data mining or targeted advertising, or in any way, shape, or form be compensated for the use of our data. In any way, shape, or form, either through privacy or whatever. You know, no one had any idea. So not only is it potentially just Ticketmaster charging, like that article said, it anywhere from fucking 20 to 65% the actual ticket price. 65% the actual ticket price. On top of that, they're retaining our data because when you purchase through Ticketmaster, they have your email. They're going to send you advertisements. They're going to let you know when that person you bought a ticket for comes back to town. They're also going to let you know the anyone they think is related to that person when they're coming to town or anywhere near you. Like, they have that information. And they're not sharing it with the artists or the performers or anyone that you're purchasing a ticket for. So not only are they charging exorbitant extra prices, but they're also retaining all the information from everything that they're doing. And it's valuable as information. Because if someone like a comedian or a smaller band, just starting out band, had and that ended up on some, you know, let's say an opening act on a big tour, a smaller band that's all the tickets are being bought through, if they had some sort of access to that data, all of a sudden when they come back to that town, they have an email blast that they could send out. Hey everyone, we'll be there in next month. Buy a ticket here if you want to check us out again. You know, whatever. Like, that's valuable information, especially to an up-and-coming performer. And that's something that's just being retained. Like, it's just, there's just such a fucking monopoly of it. It really needs to, something needs to come up. Something needs to come up. Somebody needs to start a different one. Someone needs to put something, like, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. But I know it needs to fucking change, because this is not something that can last forever. I think more and more people, as time goes on, are becoming wise to the fucking scam that is the current ticketing process and purchasing situation that we're all in here. Like, Ticketmaster owns Live Nation. Did you know that Live Nation owns a lot of the fucking venues? Did you know that? Because I didn't even know that. Like, Live Nation owns the they're making money off of every fucking end of it, and it's a monopoly. Where's the competition? That's what I want to know. Where's the competition? So, I don't know. I just saw that article, and it was, it's an update to a story we've been following since the birth of this podcast. So, since the genesis of this podcast. But yeah, I just wanted to. I saw that article come up, and I wanted to say something about it. And then I heard that podcast, which I highly recommend you check out. Again, The Brilliant Is. I haven't actually heard an episode of that podcast yet, but the episode where they were on Joe Rogan was phenomenal. Phenomenal. It was an excellent podcast, and you should definitely check it out. But into the stuff I talked about at the beginning that I was just going to kind of nerd out on. First up, I've tried to get into Black Mirror. A lot of people told me it was like a modern day Twilight Zone, but here's the thing about Twilight Zone is that they always go for the twist. There's no twists in Black Mirror, like, ever. Like, like, little ones here and there maybe, but there was one in the new season that I saw an advertisement for and I wanted to watch. The reason why I wanted to watch it is because an actor that was in it, Mr. Andrew Scott, who portrayed Sherlock's arch nemesis, Moriarty, on the BBC television show Sherlock. If you have never seen it, I cannot recommend it enough. It is one of my all-time favorite shows. All-time favorite. And Andrew Scott's portrayal of Moriarty is so deliciously, evilly haunting. Like, it's one of my all-time favorite villains on screen. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I fucking love it. And so he's an actor I really like because of that show. You've got to check it out if you've never seen it. It is fucking fantastic. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock, Martin Freeman as Watson, and Andrew Scott as Moriarty. And it is fucking brilliant. So I highly recommend it. And so I wanted to watch his episode of Black Mirror. And, I'm not going to lie, it was a good episode. It was a really good episode. But, it was just, it's so straightforward. You know what I mean? Like, everything is predictable. Oh, yeah, and Topher Grace was in it. He actually did a really good job, too. See, all the acting, all the writing, and all the directing was fucking on point. But it just, I'm sitting there kind of, waiting for, some kind of a twist or something. And it just ends kind of exactly how you think it's going to end, and then it's just done. So it leaves me kind of personally, lots of people love it, but personally, it's always just kind of left me hanging. So, but it was a great episode. I do recommend watching that episode. If you've never checked out an episode of Black Mirror, that's a good one to check out. It's because all the cylinders are firing on that one. Everything was really good. It's just the direction of the story that I'm not always a giant fan of, which is oddly enough, because I would, I even think I would be into Black Mirror, especially with all the other things I'm into. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that really quick, and then on to the next, because I just watched that last night, so I felt like talking about it. And then I finished another show last night. The other show I finished last night was season 3, Jessica Jones. Now, for me, with the Marvel shows, I loved the Marvel shows. Love the Marvel shows on Netflix. To me, Daredevil season 1, 2, and 3 is a brilliant fucking story. There may be a couple things in season 3 I would have done a little different, or this or that, whatever. But Daredevil 1 through 3 is non-stop fucking brilliance. Like one of my favorite series is of all time. Absolutely fucking brilliant. And then the Punisher, especially Punisher season 1 on Netflix, is fucking breathtaking. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, I remember when I first saw Daredevil season 1, like, I almost couldn't even believe, like, it was an instant addiction. Like, I had to absorb all of the story as quickly as I could. Like, I watched that, like, practically straight through. Like, I just needed it. It was so fucking good. And besides Daredevil and Punisher, my favorite of the other Marvel Netflix shows is definitely Jessica Jones. And this season 3, the final season, which is also the final season of any of these Marvel shows on Netflix, I thought was really good. I really enjoyed it. Essentially, the entire season, they really held true to being a detective story. Like, all the way through the season, that she was constantly investigating. We were following leads and seeking out mysteries. And I really loved that at its core, that's what it was. Yeah, maybe there's some bits and pieces here and there of story aspects, like with Trish Walker and stuff, that maybe I didn't necessarily need. But at the end of the day, I thought it was a really good season. And I enjoyed the way it ended. It was kind of like most of these shows, spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, stop listening. But it was kind of like, with all these Marvel shows, they kind of do like a heel turn at that midway point. And it was like searching for the serial killer and then Jessica Jones versus Hellcat. Kind of. And there's some other supers involved. Luke Cage makes an appearance. Iron Fist gets mentioned. Yeah, all in all, it wasn't the grand finale for these Marvel shows that I would have hoped for, but for the final season of Jessica Jones, I thought it was really good. I thought Kristen Ritter, brilliant. Ever since season 1, she will forever be Jessica Jones to me. Her voice, her look, her cadence, her fucking walk, the way she dressed, like all of it. She is Jessica Jones for me. Like, her attitude, brilliant. She just fucking kills that role. Absolutely love it. So yeah, if you're into those shows, I highly fucking recommend checking out Jessica Jones season 3, because it's not the grand hurrah of all the Marvel shows, but it was a great cap on that storyline, and it makes you wish it could go on. But as far as I know and have read, I think none of those characters can appear anywhere else for 2 years now. So maybe one day we will, because she definitely has a fan base now, and I'm a part of it. Absolutely brilliant. Next up, the thing I want to talk about now, before I even go any further, if you're still listening, spoilers. Spoilers. I saw Spider-Man Far From Home. Spoilers upcoming. Okay? This was a great movie. Okay. Here's what you gotta understand. Hold on a second. Okay. Here's what you gotta understand. My dad took me out of school in the year 2000 to go see X-Men on opening day. And the first X-Men will forever be one of my all-time favorite superhero movies for just because it's so sentimental to me. And then 2 years later, in 2002, when the first Spider-Man came out with Tobey Maguire, that at that point in time was pretty much like, besides Titanic, one of the biggest movies. Like, it was huge, okay? It was huge. And I fucking loved it. Like, Spider-Man has always been one of my all-time favorite heroes. And I, excuse me, absolutely love the current, the MCU version, the Tom Holland. Probably, honestly, my favorite on-screen depiction so far. Just because he's actually like a high school kid, and that's how I always read him in the comics. Like, he was young, you know what I mean? In Far From Home, you know, this is the final film of Phase 4 of the MCU. So this closes the the Endgame chapter, and this is the first movie post Endgame, first movie post full on Fallout. Like, we jumped 5 years, they fixed the snap, and now we're dealing with it. And some confusing elements, like, I'm not still quite sure, like, so by that logic, in this movie we're in the year like 2021, 22, something like that. So it's a little strange in that aspect, because they never really like fully addressed that. But, like, it's a movie where it's like Peter just lost his mentor. It doesn't, it never really says how long it's been since the war in Endgame, since Peter went to the funeral. It never really gives it been a couple of months? Has it been, it never really gives that full-on timeline. But, we're dealing with a young high school kid who just lost his mentor and is literally seeing him everywhere. Like, you see, even in the background shots, like, spray-painted pictures of Iron Man all over the place. And it's fucking brilliant. Like, it's like he is considered a hero, the hero, all over the world. And yeah, like, so we go through the movie. I've only seen it once, so I need to see it again to get really deep into it. I'll probably do another one about it, but major things are like the sunglasses he gets is actually like a weapons defense system that Tony leaves for him called Edith, which is an acronym which you will find very hilarious. I won't spoil that for you. And you know what, though? You know what? One thing I especially wanted to mention is Mysterio. I thought this portrayal of like, if you're a fan of Mysterio, I'm a fan of Mysterio, and this is my dreams come true. Like, there are a couple tweaks to his origin story to make him fit into the MCU, and I thought the ways that they did that were fucking brilliant, because they show it all. But besides the tweaks to his origin, I thought he was very true to his character in the comics. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal did a great job. He missed in costume, he looked fucking incredible, and just his whole arc was exactly what Mysterio would do or be. You know what I mean? Like, it's so spot on for me. I thought it was absolutely brilliant portrayal. I won't spoil everything until I see it again. There's a big spoiler with Nick Fury. And in some ways it does set up the future, but not exactly in a fully clear way. And there's even some potential Easter eggs for the Fantastic Four in there, but Not exactly sure. One of my biggest complaint about the first one, Homecoming, is that, look, when I go to a Spider-Man movie, I want to see Spider-Man just swinging around New York, at least for a solid scene. Like, I need that swinging around New York scene. I need that. And I didn't get that in the first one. In this one, they save it for the very end where he's going to meet up with Mary Jane. And it was fucking incredible. And in that scene, there's a potential Easter egg for Fantastic Four. But one thing I will spoil is one of the after credit scenes. They finally introduce the MCU's J. Jonah Jameson, and it's J.K. Simmons from the original Spider-Man trilogy, same guy that played J. Jonah, and I about lost my shit. I was so fucking happy about that, because he, to me, seeing, growing up with the Spider-Man cartoons and seeing Spider-Man 2002 and all those ones, he is J. Jonah to me. So, and it's so cool to see the MCU recognizing that for a lot of kids that were 10, 11 years old, 12 years old, seeing the first Spider-Man movie, this is J. Jonah. Bring him back. And I fucking loved that. Oh, man, I really enjoyed that one. But yeah, I need to see it again. I can't, I'm not going that deep into it right now because I've only seen it once. I'm going to see it again over the weekend, hopefully with Aaron, and maybe we'll talk about it on a podcast. But man, it was really, really good. So basically the elementals are, which is exactly, like, I kind of called it. Like, the elementals all show up, but they're all an illusion done by Mysterio. And Mysterio lies about everything. Like, that's what he does in the comics. And to make himself look like the hero, you know what I mean? And because that's all he ultimately wants to be. And, God, he looks so good. And yeah, the way they did this, it felt like it was ripped straight from the pages. Really, really well done. So yeah, I'll talk about that again a little bit more in the future. But full disclosure, it is 2:15 a.m. on the 4th of July. Once again, happy 4th of July, everyone. Probably going to wrap this one up about now. I do want to give one more shout out. So Dead Podcast started following us, Lost in the Dark Podcast, on Instagram. Shout out to the So Dead Podcast. If you're listening to this right now, I hope you are. I'm a giant fan, and anyone that lives in Michigan, especially in the greater Lansing area, should listen to the So Dead Podcast and check out the Demented Mitten Tours on Facebook, and also Scream Queens Productions on Facebook. They're putting on events. So Dead Podcast is having some of their first live events coming up, and Demented Mitten Tours do tours. If you're into true crime, paranormal, especially in the Michigan area, fucking brilliant podcast. I absolutely fucking love it, and I have their book. Check out the book, Haunted Lansing. I will be attending one of the tours and hopefully some of the live events and live podcasts here coming up in the future, and I hope to meet the two hosts of the show. Definitely check out, plug for So Dead Podcast, huge plug. Check them out on Patreon. They got a Patreon, Facebook, Instagram, everything, iTunes, all of the above. And yeah, that's going to be about it for me on this one. Hopefully later today on the 4th of July, fingers crossed, I will be attending Rib Fest, Michigan Rib Fest in Lake Orion with my buddy Matt. So hopefully, if you're hearing this, be sure to follow along in the Instagram story. I will be pretty much podcasting via that all day or during the duration of the time that we're at Rib Fest. So if we hopefully we end up going and we get to do that. So follow us. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Be sure to check out Recorruptor and Bog Wraith. They will be playing a show July 25th at Max Bar, Michigan Avenue, Lansing. Be there. It is going to be fucking metal mayhem. It's not just them. It's more. Recorruptors headlining. They got a new album coming out. Bog Race got some new songs. Holy fucking shit. It's going to be total fucking chaos, and I absolutely cannot wait. They're going to tear the fucking roof off of the place that night. So fucking be there. Tickets are $7 in advance, $10 at the door. But I imagine this one's going to sell out because it's going to be fucking insane. So get them quick. Be sure to check out their Facebook, Instagram. Also our Instagram. I've been posting about it. And if you hit us up, I can at least direct you to one of them for tickets. But yeah, other than that, that's about all we got. So, hey, everyone, if you're listening to this, look, if you're listening to this podcast is a labor of love, all right? We do this because we fucking love doing it. We make nothing on it. We don't care about making anything on it. We have no interest in making anything on it. It's an attempt to capture some conversations between friends and just, have somewhat of a platform to do things like make videos and write songs and just talk about things. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's what we love. It's something that we love to do. And so the message I want to send out to you all is find what you love to do and fucking do it. You don't get to step 1,000 or you don't get to episode 77 like we're at right now, only like a year and some change in, without taking step 1. All right. Like, don't be afraid to post something that you don't think is perfect, because people want to take that journey with you. And at least me as a fan, I'm speaking as me as a fan of things, I like to take that journey with the stuff I love. I like to find stuff. Who doesn't like to find a band before anybody else knows about them, and then they get huge, and you're like, yeah, I was listening to them before anybody else knew about them. You know what I mean? Like, who doesn't love that? So support small stuff, support local stuff, especially music, and don't be if you're a photographer, if you're a podcaster, if you're an artist, if you're a musician, if you're a graphic designer, anything, don't be afraid to post your early works. Like, people want to take the journey with you. Trust me. I do as a fan personally. So don't, it always takes step 1 before you get to step 1,000. And then there's 98 steps in between. So it's a journey. And people want to take that journey with you because it inspires them and people like me to take that journey and end up a year and some change into a podcast that I fucking love doing. And in a year from now, like, I feel like we're definitely better than we were a year ago. And a year from now, I feel like I hope we were shitty now and we've gotten that much better. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully it's the same for all of you, and hopefully you find something that you love and you get out there and start doing it. And that's just the message I wanted. I was inspired by a podcast I heard earlier tonight talking about that, and I wanted to pass that message along to all of you. Shout out to Church of What's Happening Now. That's the podcast I was listening to earlier, the newest episode. And happy 4th of July. Have a very happy and safe Independence Day. Be sure to drink and smoke and eat with your fucking friends and family and the people that you love, because that's what fucking matters on this day. And just enjoy it. Just fucking enjoy it. Don't blow your goddamn fingers off. And go watch some fucking fireworks and eat some fucking grilled meat and fucking blast some heavy goddamn motherfucking metal. At the end of the day, blast some fucking heavy metal, because that's what we're about here at the Lost in the Dark. That's what we are, about the metal. So that's about it. Happy 4th of July. If you're still listening, I absolutely fucking love you to death. Happy holiday. We will be back next week with all new episodes. And happy Independence Day, everyone. I fucking love you to death. Good night.